Welcome to Fantasy and Enchantment, where I describe fantasy books to my husband and see if he is enchanted. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Justin.
We're going to start, I've been really bad at this lately, we're going to start with content warnings.
Before I start the cursing?
Yes, before either one of us starts, really. We swear a lot. Adult language, be advised. Also, spoilers for the book. This week, we are going into The Ballad of Never After, which is the second one in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. So I know you're going to need a recap.
For sure, because I already do not remember the last thing we talked about.
Do you just want to jump right into the recap then?
Yeah, I guess let's do that.
Okay. So, Evangeline, girl with pink hair, she made a deal with Jax.
Oh, this is the one with the deal and the kissing.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
At the end of the last book, so the deal was that he was going to stop her stepsister from marrying the quote-unquote love of her life.
Yeah. What's his name again? That cunt?
Luke?
Yeah. Okay.
I think it'll come back to me. I'm sure I've got it written down. It's just not clicking right now.
Right.
I want to say it's Luke.
I don't remember either, so we're on the same page.
Good talk. At the end of the last book, Evangeline discovered that Jax was completely responsible for her getting to the Magnificent North, meeting Apollo, marrying Apollo, and then poisoning Apollo. So at the end of Once Upon a Broken Heart, she realizes
He's a real trickster.
he's a real trickster, and goes up to the library to try to open the arch. This super special magical arch.
Right. Because she's the key.
She is the key.
Yeah. That whole thing.
Yes.
Okay. Some of it's coming back. I remember not particularly caring for it, for sure.
I'm pretty sure you could say that about any of the ones we've talked about.
Also fair.
So we'll read the description.
All right.
I'll get your thoughts on the book cover,
Oh boy.
and then we'll jump in.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Not every love is meant to be. After Jax, the Prince of Hearts, betrays her, Evangeline Fox swears she'll never trust him again. Now that she's discovered her own magic, Evangeline believes she can use it to restore the chance at happily ever after that Jax stole away. But when a terrifying new curse is revealed, Evangeline finds herself entering into a tenuous partnership with the Prince of Hearts again, only this time the rules have changed. Jax isn't the only force Evangeline needs to be wary of. In fact, he might be the only one she can trust, despite her desire to despise him. Instead of a love spell wreaking havoc on Evangeline's life, a murderous spell has been cast. To break it, Evangeline and Jax will have to do battle with old friends, new foes, and a magic that plays with heads and hearts. Evangeline has always trusted her heart, but this time she's not sure she can.
Okay, now remind me. In the first one, she had to kiss 3 people.
Uh-huh.
Did she kiss all 3 people, or she only do 2?
2.
She only did 2, so she still owes him one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she can't just, kick him to the curb altogether yet. She still owes him something.
Yeah, she has not fulfilled their deal.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to be reminded of that part. Let's see the cover.
So that's the cover.
Oh, they're sticking with this fleur-de-lis thing.
Yeah.
It's boring. There's not a lot happening. It's very,
I
front and center.
I think I might know what it is. Do you have any thoughts on what you think it is?
I mean, other than just, this reads to me just generic book cover.
So I think it's an arrow, like a very stylized arrow.
That's too stylized if that's the situation, because I would not have gotten arrow out of that.
Yeah, I just thought of that a couple days ago. So.
Okay. Yeah. It is very boring. It's like the paper towel that I buy that's just
super generic.
it's just got a black label on it
There's
that
no
just says
brand
paper
name
towel.
or anything. It just says paper towel.
What I do know is Walmart sells it for 68 cents a roll, and 68 cents a roll for paper towel is a pretty damn good deal.
Okay.
I'm cheap.
Fact.
Well, we wouldn't have all these nice things if I weren't so cheap all the time.
All these cheap things.
All these cheap things that I've bought us. Like this cheap microphone that I got on sale, also at Walmart. And this cheap laptop that I think, did we also get at Walmart?
No, I bought this from somebody.
You
remember?
bought this. Okay, well, I'm not responsible for the laptop. I am responsible for that iPad in front of you. I won that in a lube selling contest. You're welcome. I sold a lot of lube. So much. It's engraved on the back. It's so unnecessary. Why would you get an engraved iPad from a lube company as a gift for selling a whole lot of lube?
Justin used to work at an adult store. Can we move on?
Sold dicks for a living.
You did. Are we done?
For now.
Are you ready to talk about the book?
I've tried my best to avoid it, but I think we're here.
Yeah, cut it the fuck out, Justin. Okay. The book opens on a note that Evangeline is writing to herself.
Oh, what, like a shopping list?
No, it's an actual, like, Dear Evangeline.
Who does that?
She does, apparently.
If you're doing that at home, stop wasting your time.
And at the end it says, if you are tempted to trust him again, remember all that he's done. And it's talking about Jax.
Right.
And this is the day after she figured out that Jax poisoned Apollo.
Is he dead?
Apollo? No.
Yeah.
No, remember she found out he was in like this weird stasis kind of thing.
Yeah, he pulled through.
Yeah, so now she's trying to figure out how to get him like fully back to life. And she thinks the answer is probably in the arch.
Okay.
So that's why she's going to the arch. Because immediately after this, she goes back to the library where the arch is.
The arch in the library, not the arch in St. Louis, which is near where I grew up. And St. Louis is a dump. Don't ever visit the arch either. It's the worst monument in this country.
Okay. Anyway. So she goes back to the library. She's been going a lot since this whole thing happened because she wants to get into the arch, but she's not sure how.
Just like you. Go to the library all the time.
Hey, I like libraries.
That's fine.
But then Jax is there, and so she tells him to leave. And then they argue. And then he asks why she didn't stab him when she had the chance. And she doesn't really have an answer, and so he says, if you agree to help me, I'll wake Apollo from his suspended state. So he still needs her help to find the stones that are going to open the arch. So
he wants the arch open too.
Yes. But then she's like, I'll do it without you. I don't need you. And then he laughs at her and he leaves. He's like, I'll see you soon.
Haha, you dumb bitch. I'll see you later.
Remember, she has to like bleed a little bit to open the doors. She does that and the door opens. Damn it.
Empties. Doors don't empty.
The doors don't empty. They open. The door
Doors
empties.
do open. They also close.
The door opens, but it's empty inside the door. That's the door that leads to the arch, by the way.
Right. So there's a door in front of the arch.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a prophecy carved into the top of the arch that just repeats like what she heard last time about like you will know her because she's crowned in rose gold. She'll be peasant and princess. Blah 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 blah.
Nonsense. Riddles.
Conceived in the north and born in the south, you will know this key because she will be crowned in rose gold. She will be both peasant and princess, a fugitive wrongly accused, and only her willing blood will open this arch.
I mean, in case you can't see through this shit already, it's obviously talking about her.
Yes. The librarian finds her and tells her that she has to hurry up and find the stones to open the arch. And then a few days pass.
Why did they build this arch in a library? Seems like a silly place to put such a thing.
Well, remember, it's supposed to be like this magical prison and or treasure area.
And they were just like, let's build a library around it.
I think the library was already there.
So it just appeared in the library?
Well, no, I think they put it there on purpose.
That's silly.
Because it's out of the way.
They're like, well, nobody goes to libraries, so we'll put it here.
Oh, right, that's rude. Evangeline is doing research about Apollo's condition. There's a guard there named Havelock who gives her a paper. And it says that there is a new heir arriving tomorrow. Apollo's brother is in jail for trying to kill him. Apollo, everybody still thinks he's dead. Only a few people know that he's not fully dead. So they gotta
Not
find...
dead yet.
You say that every time.
Well, if all these people weren't maybe dead but not really dead, I wouldn't have to say it every time.
Okay.
I feel like it's a requirement. contractually obligated to say that.
By who?
I don't know, but the British accent's a definite. And it.
Okay. Anyway. The new heir's name is Lucian Jareth Acadian.
That's a terrible name. Jareth, isn't that the name of
The Goblin King.
That's the Goblin King.
We just watched
We were just
The
watching
Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth with our daughter for the first time.
I looked at it and I just put that together.
She was super into it for a while, and
For about 20 minutes,
Then
yeah.
she got sidetracked,
Yeah.
but it was still fun.
Yeah.
David Bowie's dick's out.
It's not out.
It's basically out.
You couldn't pull that off.
No, I couldn't. I'm not. First of all, I would never put myself in pants that tight. Second of all, nobody wants to see that. Third of all, my dick is not that big. David Bowie either had a hog or he put something in there. I don't know. But you could tell if he was cut or not just from wearing those pants. That's not a kid's movie. David Bowie, put your dick away.
Okay. Did not expect that to happen while we were doing this.
Well, didn't know we were going to be talking about David Bowie's dick today, did you?
No, I didn't.
Here we are. That's why there's a content warning at the beginning.
I know.
Because I might just talk about somebody's dick before this is over.
Okay.
He's dead too.
He is.
Okay.
Okay. Evangeline goes to see Lala. Do you remember who Lala is?
I remember that's a stupid name.
She's another fate. She's the unwed bride. She cries poison tears.
Right.
Don't say it like
I almost
that.
got confused and I was going to be like, is she one of the saddles? But that was a different series
That was
altogether.
the one we did before this.
Yeah. Wasn't there somebody with a stupid name like that in that book?
I mean, Miss Rissa.
Brissa, that was what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Okay.
Wrong book.
Wrong book.
Okay.
They all blend together.
Lala says she should open the arch.
That is, everybody's like, you should do that. And she's like, yeah, I'm fucking trying.
Well, no, at this point she's like, she wants to open the arch, but she also doesn't because Jax wants to open the arch. So she's like, that must be a terrible idea.
What a spiteful cunt.
Okay. It's really rude.
Well, sometimes you just need a different perspective on things. That's what I'm here for.
The Valerie Arch does not hold what you think. If I were you, I would open the arch. She goes back to Wolf Hall, which is the name of the castle. Goes to see Apollo, and then Jax is there again.
He just crops up wherever. Huh?
Yeah. They bicker a little bit. Jax says she has until that night to change her mind. At that point, he is not going to help her anymore.
I'm done with you.
Yeah. But then, so Apollo is laying down on the slab. She's facing Jax. Her back is to Apollo, and then a hand grabs her wrist. And it is Apollo. And so she turns to look at him and sees that his eyes are red. And then Evangeline's first thought is that Jax did something. Because Jax...
Does things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jax says, no, I didn't do that. Jax has to cut Apollo to get him to let Evangeline go. Because he's holding on really tightly and she's starting to bruise. It gets really intense. And then they run away. And Evangeline notices she has a cut in the same spot where he cut Apollo.
Okay.
Jax tells her that someone else has just put another curse on her and Apollo.
Who?
They don't know yet.
How does he know that there's another curse?
Because he's seen it before. He's seen this curse before. It's called the Mirror Curse. Apollo will share any injuries you receive, and you'll share any injuries he receives. So they're mirrors of each other.
Yeah. It's like a twins type thing.
Yeah. She tries to run after Jax because he is just booking it out of there. But then she hears trumpets because the new heir has arrived early. And
the trumpeters were just aware. They were like, oh shit, get the trumpets.
I'm sure there was someone running ahead of him being like, get the trumpets ready, you know. This new heir has requested to see Evangeline. He sent a guard to go get her. So she goes to see him, and it's Luke, her ex.
Oh.
Who is, if you recall, now a vampire.
Right. How did he become an heir?
So he says, do you remember who Chaos is?
I remember that being a name.
Lord of Spies and Assassins, really
Right.
old vampire guy.
Yeah.
He got Chaos to help him, fake a name and identity. And he says he is, in fact, distantly related to the prince. So it's not completely made up.
Okay.
But then the guard Havelock comes back to get her, and Luke rushes forward to try to bite her. But then Jack shows up again and pulls him away. So they get out of the room. And then who comes around the corner? It's Marisol, her stepsister, who put the love curse on Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke asked to have Marisol for dinner, quote unquote.
I'm gonna eat that bitch.
Yeah. She doesn't know that he meant that literally.
Right.
So Evangeline's like trying to warn her, like, no, don't go in there. Like, be done with him.
He wants to have you for dinner with like a side of barbecue sauce
Yeah.
and some macaroni and cheese.
But Marisol is convinced that, like, Evangeline's just being vindictive, and she's gonna go see him anyway. So then Jax, if you remember, has this power to control people sometimes.
Yeah.
So Evangeline asked Jax to, like, make her leave. And then she does.
She likes her evil stepsister a little too much. I'd be like, fine, go get your ass eaten. I don't care. Not get your ass eaten, but like get eaten.
Yeah, I know.
I do feel like I have to distinguish because I feel like there's definitely books that you read where people are getting their asses eaten.
Hey. Whoa.
I know this isn't one of them. This one tends to be a little more PG-13 and a little bit less tongue punching buttholes. But I know that is something that's out there, and you're probably reading it.
Okay.
Buttholes.
I got that,
All right.
actually. Okay. Evangeline has decided she doesn't want any more bad news. So she tells Havelock the guard that she's leaving, and she doesn't want anyone to follow her. So she runs into the garden, but guess who's there?
Jax, because he's everywhere.
Yeah, he kind of is. But then she realizes that there's someone else there too. It's a man on a horse, and Evangeline feels like this weird pull towards him. She realizes it's Apollo. Jax.
This motherfucker's been laying on a slab, and now all of a sudden he's on a horse?
Yes.
It's a pretty big leap.
Well, Jax can mentally communicate with her, so he says in her head that she needs to leave, and then he says Apollo is dangerous. So she starts to walk towards Apollo, and then Apollo says, I wish we could try again, but I think you should go. He tells her again to leave, pulls out an arrow, and then his eyes turn red again. And then Jax tells her to run.
I mean, if anything I've learned from cartoons and video games in my lifetime, it's that if somebody's eyes turn red, they're probably a bad person.
Yeah.
Typically how that goes.
Yeah. She does actually listen that time, and she starts to run, but then an arrow hits her in the leg. And then she realizes there's a cut on her shoulder. So she's got 2 injuries. So she gets back inside the castle.
Wait a minute, wouldn't an arrow go through his leg too?
Yes.
Okay.
Apollo's leg, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, oh damn, that hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's every time they're in this weird situation where I don't want to spoil anything. I'll save it.
Okay.
Okay. She hears Jack apologize, and then she passes out. She's kind of in and out of consciousness for a while. She's thinking about her favorite fairy tale, the Ballad of the Archer and the Fox.
Right.
She wakes up, everything hurts, and she's laying on a bed with a cage over it. And chaos is there.
Lock this bitch up.
And once she realizes she's practically naked. Like, she's not naked, she's just in little tiny underwear, basically.
Right.
Jax walks in the room. Guess what he's holding?
The rest of her clothes?
An apple. A black apple.
Oh boy, he's back on his silly ass apples. Weird colored apples.
Yeah. I mean, he never really stopped, to be fair.
I don't understand where he's getting them from.
There's a reason. I also don't understand where he's getting them from, but there is a reason for the apples. But he tells her that he knows how to heal her, and then a female vampire walks in and bites her arm. So eventually she, whatever, between the cut and the arrow, she was hurt really badly.
Right.
So Jax has basically decided, we're going to turn you temporarily into a vampire.
But as long as she doesn't bite anybody else
Before dawn.
yeah.
She'll be fine.
Which is I've watched a lot of vampire movies. That's a clever take on the vampire thing.
Yeah, that's pretty
It
unique
is
given
unique.
the whole
It's
story.
different. Not as good as. You ever seen Dracula 2000?
I don't think so.
That was really good. It's the best one that I've seen, where they basically Dracula. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen this movie that came out in like fucking 1998, Dracula is actually Judas Iscariot, the one who turned on Jesus,
Oh,
and that's why Judas sold out Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, which is why he has a problem with silver
silver.
bullets
Okay.
and silver, and that's why the crosses are such a big deal. It's a really clever tying together that I had never heard anybody do before. Really cool movie in the end. I mean, the rest of it is okay as far as vampire movies go, but it's a really cool little tidbit at the end of that.
okay.
Also, The Last Voyage of the Demeter is a really great vampire movie that came out recently. Big fan of that one.
Okay.
Not usually into vampire movies, but that one was really good.
Do you want to talk about the book again?
I'd rather not. I'd rather talk about vampire movies, but I guess we'll talk about the book some more because that's what these people are here for.
Okay. So the female vampire has bitten her. Evangeline opens her eyes, sees Jax eating his apple, and then starts thinking about biting Jax because she is now a vampire.
Right.
So Jax leaves the room because he can kind of sense where her mind is going. And Chaos is trying to calm her down. But then, she's got the cage over the bed to try to keep her contained.
Right.
But she's also a key. She bites her lip, asks the cage to open, and then it does.
Just communicates with the cage.
Yes. So Chaos pins her to the bed with his whole body. Well, she's practically naked.
She's into that.
She's not really, actually.
Well,
So she struggles a bunch.
this isn't one of those sex books like normal.
No.
Normally, she'd get fucked right now.
Oh my god.
That's how this would normally go in one of your books. He'd pin her down, and then she'd be like, ooh, I'm kind of into this. And then it would turn into like some weird vampire sex thing, and there'd be biting and a little bit of blood. And anyway. I know where your books normally go. I've heard you talk about enough of them that I know what happens.
Okay.
Weird sex stuff.
Okay.
Cages and whatnot.
Shut the hell up. Alright. She asks why he's helping Jax. And he says, remember he's got this big bronze helmet on? Part of it covers his mouth so that he can't bite anybody.
Right.
He said his helm was cursed by the Ballers, so he wants the arch to open so that he can get the thing off.
Okay.
Because he's been wearing it for fucking ever.
How does he eat?
He doesn't. I guess vampires don't need blood, they just want it.
Well, how does he eat, like, a regular meal for sustenance?
He doesn't, because he's a vampire.
So he doesn't eat anything.
Nope.
So he doesn't poop,
Nope.
theoretically.
Are we talking about poop again, Justin?
As a person who poops a lot, I'm real curious about poop, especially in these kinds of books and stuff. I'm always curious about that in movies, too. It's like nobody ever poops in movies.
Okay.
I poop a lot.
Yeah, you do. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Alright. Jax comes back in the room and he's like got his hand on the door. And when he sees Chaos laying on top of Evangeline.
He starts tugging one out.
No.
Starts playing with his apples.
He like squeezes really hard and he breaks the door.
Oh.
And then he leaves again.
Okay.
Dawn comes and goes. Evangeline is back to normal.
Right.
But she is also super embarrassed about having Chaos on top of her while she's basically naked.
While she was mirroring and she became a vampire, did Homeboy become a vampire at the same time?
No, because that's a poison. It's not an injury.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Just curious how it works.
Not like that.
All right. Well, now I know.
Chaos gets off of her, so she pretends to be asleep. Because she's like, this is really embarrassing. I don't want to deal with this. And then she actually falls asleep, or pretending to be asleep. She wakes up later and then leaves the room, climbs all the stairs, goes out to the graveyard. She plans to go back to Wolf Hall, starts walking through the forest, and hears a horse. Guess who it is?
It's Apollo Creed. on his horse with his American flag trunks.
Oh my god. Apollo is there, and he tells her to run from him. Find a way to break this spell that compels me to hunt you, and I promise I'll do nothing but protect you. So he's under 2 curses.
Double
That was the
cursed.
thing I didn't want to spoil before.
Double cursed.
He's double cursed. So they've got the mirror curse, and then you find out later this is also what's called the archer curse, where he's compelled to hunt her. She hides behind a tree.
Do we find out who did all these curses eventually?
At least one of them. I'm trying to think. We'll get there.
Okay. I just, like, if they just ignore that's going to be a real stupid plot hole if they're just like, oh, I'm cursed.
Yeah, I know. But she's hiding behind a tree, and a hand goes over her mouth. It's Jax again. So she starts trying to fight him off. And then he tells her he did not curse Apollo this time. He did before, not this time. He's under the same curse as the Ballad of the Archer and the Fox. So that whole fairy tale is about an archer who is compelled to hunt this fox that he's in love with because the fox can turn into a girl.
Right.
She slowly starts walking away from both of them. She's trying to be really quiet so Apollo doesn't know where she is. But then she steps on something, and then Apollo hears her, so she starts running. And then she gets to a cliff. Jax jumps off with her and pulls her onto the shore and tells her they have to go back to the vampires. The archer's curse won't let him rest until you're dead. So they have to go back to the vampires specifically because something about their lair is like impervious to the curse. Apollo won't be able to find her there, basically.
Okay.
Jack says the only solution is to open the arch and reveals there was another key. So this prophecy applied to another person. Evangeline is the second person he's found that has met all this criteria for the prophecy. So they go back to the vampire mausoleum, and Jax wants to start looking for the stones. There are 3 stones they need to open the arch. Evangeline asks why he wants to open the arch so badly, and he doesn't answer. If you don't agree to open the Valerie arch, he will kill you, just like the archer murdered his fox. So, like, he's basically saying, you don't have a choice. You're gonna die if you don't do this. So she finally agrees to help. They go to meet Chaos. She asks Chaos why Jax is always eating the apples, and Chaos is like, you don't want to know. So she asks about Apollo, and she finds out the guard who was helping her, Havelock, has gone missing. They go into a study. Evangeline starts snooping around and finds a really big gem. She tries to take it, but Chaos and Jax have to hold her back because she's basically feral about it. Once they lock it back up, she's normal again. And they say, that is the luck stone. It's one of the 4 magical missing archstones. Oh, I think I said 3 earlier. It's 4.
Oh.
Chaos says there are 3 more stones to find. Okay, so that's where I got that 3 from.
They already had one.
They have 1. It's luck. They need to find truth, mirth, and youth.
This mirth.
It's just like happiness. It's another word for happiness.
I'm not familiar. Probably because I'm a miserable bastard.
Yeah, I know. And so they're going to look for the truth stone first, but Chaos tells them to be careful because the truth is never what you want it to be. Chaos, Jax, and Evangeline go through a secret tunnel, stop at a door with a wolf head on it, and the door opens to an old library. Chaos has kept a whole bunch of old books. I thought placing them in my library would be the best way to keep them safe. Because of the story curse, the words in most of these volumes change a little every time they're read. However, since I rarely allow them to be read, most of the stories inside have been preserved. So I don't think I mentioned the story curse last time.
It doesn't sound familiar, but then again, most of it doesn't.
Okay. So there's a curse on the whole area of the Magnificent North. Doesn't let stories be like fully told or remembered correctly. So it's this weird thing where, like, if you read a book that was printed in the North, the title might change between the first and second time you read it. Or if you try to remember something somebody told you, you're not going to remember how it ended.
Hey, that's a strange concept, but all right.
Yeah.
How much drugs do these people do before they write these books?
Oh my
and
God,
come up with
Justin.
all this nonsense? It's just like that's such a weird thing to be like, oh, let's write that in there. That's so bizarre.
You're bizarre.
This is bizarre. That's a weird concept.
Okay.
Normal people just don't think that way. It's weird.
You're weird. Evangeline suggests that she should wear the luck stone to help them find the book that they need to figure out where the other stones are. Chaos says no. It made the last key too reckless, so the last person fulfilled the prophecy.
The last person we did all of this with, it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, and then he says it also made her far too reckless and ultimately led to her death. So she's dead now.
She did.
And Jax also says that the stones don't work on him. So each stone has like a magical power. The luck stone makes you lucky. And the truth stone makes you tell the truth. None of them work on him.
Okay. Because he's some weird god thing, right?
Yeah, he's a fate. Whatever that means. Unclear. The
Made
next,
up.
Yes, actually. The next day, Evangeline wakes up and finds a note from Jax. Just basically saying that he had to leave.
Got shit to do.
Got shit to do. So she goes back to the library, starts looking into the Slaughter Woods, which is in
Slaughterwoods?
Slaughter Woods.
That's
Yeah.
a great band name.
Okay.
If I saw a CD by a band called Slaughterwoods, I'm checking that out.
Okay. But then, like, she turns around and the whole book disappears. But she does find a paper with the stones listed next to these symbols. Those are the
Yeah.
symbols.
A dragon, little poison thing. Looks like fire down on the bottom, and some flowers. That's some flowers.
Yeah. Those are flowers.
Okay, the poison thing's not very creative.
Okay. She spends a whole week in the library looking into those symbols. And then she gets a paper announcing Lala's engagement. So Lala is now engaged. She's having an engagement party. She hasn't heard from Lala because she hasn't been able to see her. She hasn't been able to leave. Also, Lala is the unwed bride. So she gets engaged a lot and it never works out.
Right.
So, a lot of great feelings. There's also a story about Tiberius, who was Apollo's brother. He tried to break out of the prison they put him in. So she decides to go talk to Tiberius. He's in a tower in the northern forest. She gets there, she sees that the tower doesn't have doors or window, so she pricks her finger and just starts like wiping it all over the walls.
Wiping blood everywhere.
Asking all these stones to open up, and then one of them finally does. The hidden door opens, 2 guards stand up, tell her Tiberius isn't allowed visitors. She starts walking up the stairs. Here's Jax in her head, and he says, "This is your worst idea yet, little fox." He calls her Little Fox sometimes, because her last name is also Fox.
Got it.
She finds Tiberius, tells him Apollo is alive, and then tells him about the Archer Curse and the Mirror Curse. If your brother succeeds in killing me, then he'll die too. Apollo and I are linked. Tiberius says it's not his fucking problem.
He's in prison. Like, what does he care?
She pulls out a knife and then carves, "Where are you, Apollo?" into her arm. And then words show up on her other arm, and it says, "Don't look for me, I don't want to kill you." That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of shit carved in your arm.
Yeah, I just thought about that. That's a lot. Tiberius is all freaked out. She says she needs his help to find the stones. He says no.
He says, "Bitch, I'm in prison.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm all locked up tighter than Joe Exotic." I miss you, Joe Exotic.
Okay. Doesn't he have cancer or something?
I don't know. I hope not. I hope he lives forever.
He's not going to live forever.
I hope he does. He's my hero. That look on your face is priceless.
Get better heroes, is all I'm saying.
Well, it's pretty much just him and pro wrestlers.
Okay. The last time all 4 stones were put together, one of the great houses was destroyed. Just bringing the stones together is potentially cataclysmic. So, the great houses, the noble house, the whole noble house was just wiped off the map.
Bye.
Okay.
Sucks to suck.
Okay. She leaves the tower and then realizes like the forest keeps rearranging itself, so she can't find her way back.
It's like in the Legends of Zelda, the original one.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah. I played that original one a whole bunch.
And then Luke comes up behind her. Again, this little bitch ass vampire. He apologizes and says that he misses her, asks her to go to a party with him, and then shows that he has an invitation to Lala's engagement party. And it says at the top, mirth, merriment, and marriage. So Evangeline sees the word mirth and goes...
She's like, who the hell uses that word?
No, she actually thinks like, oh, maybe the mirth stone is there.
Right.
You know, like a normal person, Justin.
Well, but who the hell uses the word mirth?
They do, apparently.
You know what? If somebody sent me a wedding invitation with the word mirth on the top, I'm going to file that under very important right in my garbage can.
Okay.
Also, I'm not going to your wedding. Fuck weddings.
Okay.
Weddings are the worst. I'm tapped out on weddings. I'm not going to any more.
Probably because you went to 3 of your own.
That's not true. I didn't have actual weddings the first 2 times.
Well.
Courthouse doesn't count.
Okay.
But I'm done with weddings.
Noted.
I'd rather go to a funeral than a wedding.
Oh my God.
You usually have a better spread. You get sandwiches and stuff.
All right, are you done?
I guess so.
Okay. She snatches the invitation away from him, goes back to the mausoleum, and sees Jax playing checkers with a woman. She gets a little jealous, but then Jax just tells the other girl to leave. And Jax realizes that Evangeline is jealous and starts making fun of her for being jealous because Jax is kind of an asshole.
Right. He's like, ha ha ha, you want to do it with me.
And then he sees the words that have been carved into her arm, both by herself and Apollo.
Right. Well, it's kind of hard to miss. It was a lot of words.
It was so many words. I can't believe I didn't put that together before.
Also, how do you, like, quickly carve a whole word into your arm?
Well, I mean, it didn't say that she did it quickly. It just said that she carved it into her arm.
I mean, she did it while she was there talking to the guy in the prison. Like,
Yeah. Well, so and it's described as like she just kind of scratched herself with the knife,
Okay.
but Apollo kind of dug in with his, so
Wow.
she's bleeding on the other arm. Anyway, he
What if
sees...
she went and got a tattoo of something, like, real stupid, and then he would just be stuck with a stupid tattoo on him? That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Just like a big old dick on her forearm.
Oh
and
my
now
God.
he's got a dick on his forearm. He's like, God damn it. This bitch, I got a dick on my arm. Or just put like Apollo eats asshole or something. Just to really fuck with him.
Okay.
I should never be under a curse like that.
No,
I'm
you should
just
not.
gonna fuck with the other person a whole bunch.
Yeah. All right.
Alright.
Okay. He sees the words on her arm. She shows him the invitation to the party to try to like change the subject,
She's like, but we're going to a party.
basically. But he's like, no, we're not going. You're not going. It's super dangerous. Apollo can find you. The engagement party is being held at House Slaughterwood because the person Lala is engaged to is a part of House Slaughterwood. Jack says House Slaughterwood is the reason we're all in this mess. So somehow, from the beginning, they were involved. The next day, Evangeline is packing. The book that she lost earlier reappears, but the title is now The Ballad of the Archer and the Fox. So again, the story curse, the title's changed.
Right.
There's no archer in it, but it does talk about the Slaughterwoods. Has other portraits in it, including one of Jack's somehow. Jax comes in. She says she saw him in the book. And he says whatever you saw in the book was a trick. The Marywood Three died a long time ago, and I was never one of them. So it was a picture of these people who were called the Marywood Three, 3 guys. One of them was one of the Slaughterwoods. They pass a sign for Marywood Manor, and it's all in ruins. So she asks what happened. Lyric Marywood, son of Lord Marywood, had the misfortune of falling in love with Aurora Valor. Aurora was engaged to Vengeance Slaughterwood. Vengeance is a hell of a name.
Vengeance Slaughterwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is quite the name.
Yeah.
She tried to break off the wedding, but her dad said no. Her dad was the king, by the way. So she ran away the morning of the wedding. So Vengeance destroyed the Marywoods. So Slaughterwood is the reason they're all in this mess, because Slaughterwood destroyed this other noble house. Evangeline says that she went to see Tiberius, tells Jax he's not allowed to kill anyone while they're at this engagement party. But he says someone is going to die. It will either be one of them or one of us. So they walk into the castle. People are gossiping about Evangeline. But then Lala comes up to them. Lala takes Evangeline to her room. Jax insists on staying in the room next to her. And then he says, every time I leave this girl alone, someone tries to kill her. So,
This bitch ain't nothing but trouble.
yeah. Jax says that Lala isn't really going to get married, which, you know, she won't. But also that's a little mean to say to in front of her.
Well, she's got a record.
Jax and Lala leave the room, but then Evangeline overhears them. He asks Lala if she can undo the curse. Lala says her answer is the same as last week. So Lala put one of the curses on them.
Oh, that's nice of her.
Yeah. And then Lala says, I hope you brought enough apples. So Lala also knows what the apples are for. Evangeline and Jax go to the party. Jax stares at a girl and says she looks really familiar. A bunch of girls start flirting with Jax. Evangeline turns to leave and runs into Merrick Redthorn, who's kind of unimportant to the story at large, but Jax scares him away. They greet Robin Slaughterwood and Lala, and they sit for dinner. Jax is next to all the flirty girls. Evangeline realizes she's jealous, and then thinks maybe the youth stone is close, and that might be contributing to her jealousy. The girl Jax said was familiar sits next to Evangeline. She points out that Jax is gone, and she shows Evangeline what direction he went in. There's a tunnel under a portrait of like an old Slaughterwood family member named Glendora. So she runs off, finds Jax with one of the flirty girls, and he's about to kiss her. And do you remember?
Oh, right. It kills people.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And Evangeline immediately...
He's like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and kill this one.
Evangeline calls his bluff right away. And she goes, okay, let's see if your kiss is worth dying for. Do it. He tells the girl to leave and then backs Evangeline into the wall, starts touching her, tells her again how awful he is because he's like trying to scare her away also. And then he leaves. She goes back to her room and decides to read some of the books she brought. She opens one and an old newspaper falls out, and it talks about a monster that the Valors created. So that's going to be important to the story.
Okay.
The Valors made a monster.
Right.
Page in the book talks about Glendora Slaughterwood, who's the portrait that they just saw. Says she filled the castle with mirth. So she goes back to that secret tunnel under the portrait. She finds Glendora's coffin. And then Luke shows up again. This guy's just appearing out of nowhere all the time. She asks him to open it up. And there's a...
Hey, come open this coffin with me. This will be cool. We're grave robbing.
She pulls out a stone on a chain. So she's pretty sure she's found one of the stones.
Right.
She walks back to her room, sees the familiar girl whose name is Petra. Jax is not in his room, so she decides to lay in his bed and she falls asleep. Jax catches her in his bed, starts making fun of her. She asks him about Petra, and he tells Evangeline to stay away from her. Won't really give a reason why. He just says, don't go near her. The next night, they're going to have a costume party, so he gets ready, goes to check on Jax, and Lala is with him. She tells Jax that Tiberius escaped prison, so Tiberius is now loose again, and reveals she put the curse on Evangeline and Apollo. Oh, I think she's overhearing them again, actually. That this is when it's confirmed officially Lala put the curse on them. I think the archer curse, not the mirror curse.
Okay.
Evangeline runs off to the party and starts drinking. Luke finds her and asks her to dance. Jax comes up next to her, threatens to kill Luke, and she says that she overheard him and Lala, so she pushes him away and runs. Petra finds her, leads her away from the party through another secret passage, and then she realizes that Petra has the truth stone, not the mirth stone, and it's getting really warm. Evangeline tries to leave. Petra won't let her. She pulls out a knife and goes to stab Evangeline. She says she doesn't want to die. She grabs Petra's hair, just kind of on accident, and pulls off a wig. Petra also has pink hair. Reveals she has the youth stone, and she thinks Evangeline will kill her for it. We are just tools others use. In fact, I bet they don't even let you use the stones that you found. So she faked her death. She was the first key.
Right.
She faked her death, used the youth stone to stay young forever. So that's why Jax thought she looked familiar. but it had also been a really long time, so he wasn't sure.
Okay.
They're fighting, and then Evangeline gets hold of one of the knives and stabs her in the chest.
Take that.
Jax runs in while Evangeline is panicking, because Evangeline has never killed anybody before.
Well, first time for everything.
Yeah, he holds on to her and tells her to pack so they can leave and that he'll clean up. But Evangeline is like, oh no, she had this other stone. It was on Petra's bracelet, so she grabs it. And then she goes back to her room, and then Luke comes in again. And then Evangeline feels like her back getting split open. She realizes someone is hurting Apollo. And because of the mirror curse, that means...
She's getting hurt too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jax runs in, tells Luke to go find Chaos. And this is when Luke is like, well, I don't know if I should. Chaos told me to stay away from her, and I haven't really done that, so he's going to be really mad at me. And Jax is just like, just go get him. They need to get Apollo out of danger to make sure that either... If Apollo dies, she's going to die. But
Yeah.
So, like, stop all of it. Jax picks her up, and then they get on a sled, and they go into Marywood Forest, and then to this place called the Hollow. And they stop at an inn. There's a big grandfather clock with foods listed instead of numbers.
That's a thing.
That's a thing, and no one else is there. Jax lays her on a bed and says he has to cut off her dress because she's got wounds all over her back. And he cleans her up and tells her to sit up so he can wrap up some bandages. She notices notches on the wall with names: Aurora, Lyric, Castor, Jax, and the Archer at the very top. So somehow they're all connected. She asks about the names. He says he was only friends with Lyric and Castor. He tried to save everyone when Vengeance attacked, but he was too late. She falls asleep, wakes up later alone, puts on his shirt, starts looking around, notices names carved in the wall next to the clock. Aurora plus Jax. You know how like kids do the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a heart around it.
I don't think there was a heart, but it was an implied heart if nothing else.
Right.
And then Jax comes in and says, are you having fun snooping? Jax is standing there without a shirt on. He's got bite marks all over his neck because, like, she was in so much pain while he was holding her that like, she started biting down on him.
Okay.
He says he'll cover up if she can have his shirt back, but that would mean that she's naked, so she's like, maybe later. They have dinner. And Jax tells her more about the inn. So he basically tells her that the inn is a special place inside the Hollow. It's got some kind of special enchantment around it. This enchantment didn't just keep the Hollow safe from one threat, it protected it from all curses and kept it unchanged throughout time. So it's basically magical protection.
Right.
So she can heal.
Okay.
He brought her there to help her heal. Time moves slower there, so hours there are days out in the rest of the world. It used to be his home, and he hasn't been there since he became a Fate. So he used to be human.
Okay. Do they explain how that happened?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
Okay.
Just one day he just woke up and he's like, well, I guess I'm an immortal god thing now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess. There is a possible way that comes up in the last book, but I don't think that's how it happened. Anyway, he realizes that she has the Truth Stone. She says she just wanted to understand him. So she knew that's the one she pulled off of the corpse
Yeah.
in the coffin.
She grave robbed that one.
Yeah. She just wanted to understand him, so he rips the stone off the chain. And then she asks, again, why he wants to open the arch. And then he says, I don't want to open it at all. So he's been acting this whole time like he wants to open the arch, but he doesn't.
Right.
She realizes he just wants the stones. So she goes to look for new clothes. Jax finds her again. She asks if he was going to let her open the arch to save Apollo. He doesn't answer, which is not a great sign. And then he picks her up before she falls over because she's like really tired, and he takes her back to bed. She has a dream. There's a guy with brown hair standing on a dock. He says if she's not careful, she'll end up like his first box. She wakes up later and Jax isn't there. She finds a book while she's looking for shoes, and it says Property of Aurora Valor. So this name that she's seeing carved all over the place. And it's a diary. And there's a part that mentions Lala. There's a little dragon. They have dragons, but they're little ones.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
The little dragon comes in the door. Evangeline starts to worry about Jax, and then he throws the door open. He's got this big cut on his shoulder. So she gets him upstairs. He falls onto a bed. She starts taking his shirt off thinking she's got to help him. But then he heals on his own because he's immortal.
Yeah.
And then he pulls her into bed and asks her to stay with him. In the morning, you can forget it. You can go back to pretending you don't like me. And I can pretend that I don't care. But for tonight, let me pretend you're mine. She has another dream with the guy with the brown hair. And then Lala shows up and apologizes for the curse. So, I mean...
Sorry, I tried to get you killed.
Yeah.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, I mean, Lala's reasoning is that she knows she really needs Evangeline to open the arch. So she's like, if I put this curse on her, that'll be good motivation for her.
Pretty shitty reasoning.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of shitty friends, is really what this comes down to. This is why I'm a hermit and I don't talk to other people. It seems like everybody out there is pretty terrible.
Yeah, fair enough. Evangeline asks what's in the arch, and Lala says she can tell her a story. So she can't tell, because of the story curse, she can't tell Evangeline what's in the arch. She literally can't get the words out, but she's trying to find a way to work around it. Also, again, she's the unworn bride. She says, my grooms never leave me. I always call things off with them because I've never been able to let go of my love. I chose to become a fate because fates aren't supposed to be able to love. Her first love is in the arch, and she doesn't like to talk about it. And then, the dream is ending, and she says, Jax has the mirth stone. So, Evangeline wakes up. Jax is still there, so she starts checking for the mirth stone. She gets out of bed, goes up to that big clock, and she sees that there's a jewel on the pendulum. Found it.
There it is.
Jax walks in as she's eating breakfast. He asks why she didn't stay in bed. She jumps up and says that she knows where the mirth stone is. Runs off, grabs the stone from the pendulum and puts it in a jar. And something about that, cancels out the magic because they've both been in, a really good mood for the last couple of days.
Right. Because they were on the happy stone.
Yeah, and the happy stone. So Jax kind of comes back to himself, tells her to grab a coat and get the other stones. She asks him what the stones do besides opening the arch. But he won't answer, so they get back on the sled, and they go back to the vampire mausoleum. Jax is being an asshole. He keeps snapping at her. So she goes to her room and opens the jar. And she feels better, but then she's like, no, I can't do this. So she closes the jar again.
It's like popping pills.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
What are the ones that they give people with
Uppers.
depression? Well, what's the name? Is it?
I mean, there are a ton of them. That's a problem.
Well,
Like
whatever.
Zoloft or Prozac or whatever.
Yeah, Prozac, that's the one I was looking at. So she's got a jar of Prozac.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I could take this and you could tell me my dog's dead and I just wouldn't even care. I'd just giggle along. But instead, she's like, well, I guess I'll live this crappy life with my shitty friends.
I mean, as someone who's been on Prozac, I have to tell you, that's not how that works.
I've not been on Prozac, so I don't know.
I have.
I had one friend who, I don't know if it was Prozac, but she was on something similar. And she was like, you could punch me in the gut and run over my dog with a car, and I would have just giggled and laughed and been like, what are we going to do next?
Oh my god.
And she was like, that's why I had to get off of it, because I wasn't a normal human being anymore.
Are you sure that wasn't cocaine? Because it sounds like it could have been cocaine.
It was after she had a baby and she had postpartum depression.
Okay, yeah,
and
they're
they
probably
gave her
on
that.
something harder than
I don't know.
Prozac.
I don't know what it was, but she was like, I couldn't live my life that way anymore.
Okay.
It's too much.
All right. Evangeline is in bed, and she feels someone touching her face. So she wakes up, and it's Apollo again. He says he's not going to hurt her, and they start to make out. But then he puts his hands around her throat,
He's into that.
and he starts choking her. Not in, like, an erotic way, in, like, an I want to kill you way. To be clear. I knew you were going there.
Some women are into that.
I know.
don't understand it.
I actually just read a book a couple weeks ago that had some of that. We'll get there.
I used to work with a girl who said that she would not date a guy unless he knew CPR, because she did not enjoy sex unless she passed out before it was done.
Oh my god.
Like she was like she would have guys like shove her head in a full bathtub. It was crazy.
She's got to be dead by now.
Crazy. I hope so. She was awful.
Okay. Anyway.
What a cunt.
Okay. He lets go when he starts to choke because, again, that's how the curse works.
Right. And he's like, wait, I'm not into this. Autoerotic asphyxiation is not for me. I'm not David Carradine.
Stop it.
He died from that.
She falls off the bed, pulls the lever that drops the cage, because remember there's a big cage over the bed.
Right.
And then Jax comes in. So he takes her to his room. She sits on the bed. And then he tells her what the stones do. When the 4 stones are combined, a person has the power to return to any moment in their past.
They can bring out Captain Planet. And your powers combine.
Okay.
Do you remember Captain Planet?
I never really watched Captain Planet.
It was an awful show. That one little kid was a real bastard, too. But they all had their different little powers. When they combined them all, they brought out Captain Planet.
Okay.
And he
Yeah, I know.
talked about recycling and shit. I don't know. It was a terrible show. It was the only thing
Was that
on.
the blue guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know who he is. I don't
It was the
remember a
only
lot
thing
of the
on.
show.
There was a chunk of Saturday mornings where that was the only thing on, and so I would suffer through an episode of Captain Planet while I waited for something good to come on.
Okay. Again, I'm going to start from the beginning since you cut me off
I
here.
interjected.
When the 4 stones are combined, a person has the power to return to any moment in their past. It can only be done once. Once the stones have been used for this purpose, they'll never have the power to be used like this again. So he wants to go back to when he met Princess Donatella, who was the person he kissed who didn't die, because according to the curse, that means that's his true love,
Right.
but she kind of hates him. So that didn't work out. So he wants to go back to try to fix it.
Also, how do they... If this can only be done one time, and then it can never happen again, how do they know that? Who told them?
Probably the person who made the stones.
Who did that?
I think it was the Valors. Okay.
That seems like a plot hole.
Anyway, you're a plot hole.
Your butt's a plot hole.
She says he doesn't love Donatella, which is fair. And then he says she won't even remember any of this because it will not have happened this way for her.
That's true. Time travel gets real tricky.
Yeah.
I do love me a time travel show.
And he says she'll probably still end up in the north with Apollo, so all the broad strokes will probably remain the same, but the little details will be different. So she will not have met Jax, more than likely. Or maybe she will have met Jax, but it's unclear when exactly the whole Donatella thing happened, whether it was before or after they met.
It's like the butterfly effect. It
Yeah. Oh, no.
changes everything.
But Evangeline is really upset, says there has to be something in the arch to help him. He swears up and down this is what he wants to do. And if he stays, he'll kill her like he killed the fox. He is the archer from the Ballad of the Archer and the Fox. It's a true story. He's the archer. I overcame the archer's curse, but it didn't matter because as soon as I kissed her, she died. So the original archer curse was put on him. He went after this girl who was also a fox, somehow broke out of the curse, but then discovered he had this other curse put on him when he kissed her, and then she died.
Right. Can he have sex with somebody, or he just can't kiss them? Do they ever address that?
No, because it's a YA book, so you can't really ask that question.
I can ask that question.
You can ask that question. I don't know.
Like he can't hit it from the back
Maybe he could.
and still be cool.
I think it's, at least as far as I know, it's the kissing specifically.
It's
that's the
like
problem.
having sex with a prostitute, like no kissing on the mouth, but like you can still do whatever else.
Maybe.
All right.
It's not impossible.
Okay.
Okay. So she wants to convince Jackson not to use the stones. But then Chaos shows up. And he says Jax won't even be coming with them when they open the arch. So Jax is done. He's like washing his hands of everything at this point. He got what he wanted. Chaos says trying to change time is a mistake. Time will no doubt make sure he loses something else in order to pay for it. So, like, you can't change time without
It's like
inadvertently changing
Final
something else.
Destination.
Yeah.
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 You can't cheat death. Death
Yeah.
comes back to get you.
They leave for the arch, and then Evangeline realizes Chaos is the monster that the Valors made. So the Valors kind of accidentally created the first vampire, who was Chaos, He's the monster.
Okay. How do you accidentally make a vampire?
We'll find out soon.
Unless it goes back and it's Jesus and Judas.
Okay. We're gonna get there.
Oh, okay.
They get to the library. She puts the stones in the arch, pricks her finger, and then a door appears. Chaos says, thank you. He cuts off some of her hair and says he needs it to break the archer curse. So there was a reason. And when he goes inside,
He's not just like, bitch, I'm taking this hair.
yeah, this is mine now. So Evangeline follows him inside the arch, and there are people laying on the floor. It's the Ballards. The Ballards themselves were inside the arch.
Okay.
They've just been hanging out here this whole time.
Taking a nap.
Kind of. The queen wakes up first. She calls Chaos Castor because Chaos is her son. So he's actually a prince. And then she sees this lovely reunion between all of them and thinks, maybe if I tell Jax I love him, that will be enough to save Jax. So she goes running off to find him. But before she has a chance to get very far, the queen takes off Castor's helm. She sees that Chaos is the brown-haired guy from her dreams. Chaos comes up to tell Evangeline thank you, but he is a vampire, and he hasn't
Hasn't eaten in a long time.
in a very long time.
Yeah.
So he bites her. Like, really hard. Almost tears out her throat. Jax runs in, pulls Castor off of her, and then he's holding on to Evangeline as she dies. And it literally says like Jax is crying blood tears, because that's what he does. He doesn't cry normal tears, he cries blood.
Okay. Of course he does.
The end.
The end? Okay.
There's literally a page at this point that says the end.
We just killed off the character that you've been following.
Except not, because then you turn the page, and Castor starts to apologize. Jax asks the queen to bring her back. And the queen says, after bringing back Castor and seeing what he became, I vowed to never use that sort of magic again. So she was trying to bring Castor back to
Right.
life, and then
He came back.
inadvertently...
Yeah, became a vampire.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I guess a vampire, if he bit her throat out, instead of becoming a vampire, she just straight up dies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it, like, normally...
Vampire
it's a
lore
little bite.
changes from vampire story to vampire story,
Yeah.
so.
Normally it's a little bite, but he didn't do a little bite. He did a real big bite.
Right. He was real hungry.
Yeah. So Jax picks up Evangeline and starts running down the hall to where the stones are. He tells Castor, I'm going to go back and stop... Oh, I guess the queen. I'm going to go back and stop your son from killing her. If you do this, time will take something equally valuable from you. And he says, there is nothing of equal value to me. So Jax does it. He turns back time. And then it basically starts over. Evangeline is in the mausoleum. Chaos comes in, says Jax won't be coming with them. But then Jax shows up, and he's got this girl next to him, and says he's coming along, and the girl is for Chaos, because Chaos is going to be hungry.
Right. I brought you a meal.
Here's your snack. But Chaos is like, no, she's not coming with us. So they go to the library without the girl. Evangeline puts the stones in the arch. Chaos takes her hair. Jax says Evangeline should just leave because she's not needed anymore. So she asks why he's being so mean. He says she needs to leave before the helm is taken off or she'll die. And Evangeline is like, you didn't have to be an asshole. You could have just said that. If you don't want me to say goodbye or you want me to leave, you don't have to hurt me to get me to do it. He tries to apologize, says he still can't have her in his life, and so she leaves. She's like up against the wall and she's crying. And again, has this moment of like, I need to tell Jax that I love him. I think that'll fix everything. So she runs back to the arch.
Why couldn't he have just solved all of this and been like, hey, I just went back in time because you got killed. So, hey, don't do this.
Well,
Would have been real fucking simple.
anyway. She will find out eventually, I promise.
I don't know why it didn't just kick off right away there. It made a lot more sense.
She goes running back to the arch, and then Apollo is there, says his curse was broken, but it's Jax's fault all of this happened. So Apollo pins her to the wall and starts taking all of her memories.
How was he able to do that?
We'll find out next time.
Jesus Christ.
So she kind of comes to, sitting on the floor. There's someone in front of her, says he's been worried about her. She says I don't know who you are. And he says, I'm your husband. You've been through something terrible, but it's all right now. I'm here and I'm never letting you go. And that's where the book ends.
Do you know who that is? It's Apollo?
That's Apollo.
Okay.
Her husband.
Right.
That's it. That's the book.
Why do they do the end and then there's like an epilogue?
Well,
Or-
it's not really, it wasn't an
Or
epilogue.
it's like an encore, like a band that plays. The band doesn't play like their number one hit, but they're like, all right, we're done, bye guys, and they just go sit off stage and they wait for people to clap a whole bunch, like they don't even turn the lights back on. They're like, oh, we're gonna come out and play another 2 or 3 songs. They're gonna come back out and play Don't Stop Believing. Don't worry, guys, they're gonna come back.
It's meant to be like a misdirection because like it's this really tense, dramatic moment in the story, and then you see a page that literally says the end, and you're like, oh my god, it's over, she's dead. And then you flip the page and it's not over.
What if you don't flip the page? You're just like, well, this book just fucking stupid.
I mean, it's hard to miss the 20 or 30 pages that are left in a book, I gotta say.
Nonsense.
What do you think I rated it?
I think it took too fucking long. You probably gave it a 4.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I can see right through your rating system. It's terrible. I reiterate every time.
Okay. Your opinions are garbage, just so you know.
My opinions are gold. That's what we do here. People want to know how I feel about
Sure.
these books.
Sure they
That's
are.
why they listen.
Anyway. Follow us on Facebook and TikTok, FAE Podcast. Next time, we're doing the last book in the series, The
Oh
Curse.
boy, I get to hear about more of this crap.
The Curse for True Love. That's what it's called. I had to think about it for a second.
Okay.
And I'll give you $10 if you can guess how that one ends.
Probably Happily Ever After.
I mean,
Yeah,
depending on who's happily ever after, though.
because it's not one of the weird sex books, so
Okay.
probably just Happily Ever After.
Okay. Anyway. Comment, subscribe, suggest books, all this stuff. We'll see you
Do the
next time.
things. Okay, bye.